Joe, Oscar Health just went public last week. There's been a lot of action in your world, but let's talk about the effect of yields, the movement in the 10-year higher on perhaps investors' appetite for risk, at least what's happening to tech stocks. What do you think is the significance of that overall?
I mean, the multiples have gone up just a huge amount the last 8 years. It's partially the long bond yield and the multiples for there. It's partially the fact that tech was the only thing that was working in a pandemic world, and you're starting to see the end of the pandemic. So it makes sense. You're going to see a little money shift out of the sector. It's probably a bit overheated.
So what does patience and smarts look like at a time like this? I mean, you're a venture capitalist, so the long view is nothing new to you. What are the principles that you're keeping in mind? And to the extent that you are a public market investor, what are the things that you say, well, they are being fully valued, or perhaps more than that?
Sure. Well, I'm having to learn to be a public market investor. We've had 6 IPOs in 6 months. Everyone wants everything public because these multiples are so high. I think the principles are still really similar to what we do privately in tech, which is what places are solving really hard problems that are adding value to the economy. Where's innovation going to matter? Which places are still attracting the top talent? I think public market investors are not very good at looking and double-clicking on these companies and saying, are they still getting the very best people out of the best schools? Is this a place the best technologists still want to work? And if that's the case, you can keep high growth for a long time. And if you have high growth, as some of these companies do, and they keep it for 5 or 6 or 7 years, the multiples start to look pretty small.
So, Joe, with all that in mind, what are the sectors where you see the opportunity right now? Are there certain categories within tech or categories that are adjacent to tech or tech-driven that you're making bets on now?
We're doing a lot in healthcare. I really like Oscar. Oscar obviously got caught by the bond market in this debut last week. But this is a company with some of the most thoughtful people, thoughtful innovators in healthcare. And there's this, all sorts of other payers are partnering with them because they need their help, because they can do things no one else could do in innovation and patient experience. And if you just look at where healthcare is going in the next 5 or 10 years, there's so many big broken things there. I love areas that are broken because there's a lot to solve, and you want to bet on the smartest people solving those problems. So, that's an area we like a lot right now.
Yeah, we see those shares of Oscar Health, which, of course, you invested in, up about 4% now. Now, Joe, you've been tweeting a lot about Texas and how bullish you are on Texas. Tell us a little bit about that and what your perspective is on the physical landscape, whether you're more likely to be investing in companies that are outside of Silicon Valley and whether you expect to see more companies leave Silicon Valley as Palantir did.
Yeah, the last 5 or 6 years, probably about half our investing has been outside of Silicon Valley. And it's really been all over the country and even a little bit international. Our network's more in the U.S. And, there's just even companies that we built in the Valley or we invested in the Valley over the last decade, they usually open offices outside of it. There's talent everywhere now. There's great engineers here in Texas coming out of UT, in Austin, coming out of all sorts of places around here. You don't need to be in the Silicon Valley in the same way. And so until Silicon Valley gets the cost of living down and the state gets its act together, states that are better run are going to keep attracting more and more people. And you're definitely seeing that with Texas. I have probably maybe 20 friends who are successful entrepreneurs who've moved here. Obviously, some names everyone knows and some names they don't. And this is a really fun place now for us to all build.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.